Hey guys! Okay, so for our next video, we're going to talk about feeding routines for puppies. Now, first thing that I like to do is take all those fancy treats that you've gone out and bought your puppy and put them on the shelf, so to speak, or put them in a container so they don't go bad, and hold on to them for later, or only use them for specific things. Maybe when you say their name, maybe when you're calling them to come to you with a leash on, because remember, we're not going to say the word come unless we have a leash on to guide them what to do instead of the alternative, which is what do you mean? What does that mean? Because they don't know what the word come means, so we need to build it in. Okay, so meals. I want you to use meals every day. You should have 2 to 3 meals depending on what your routine is, and some people feed once a day, and it's just utilizing that window of time to build a relationship. Now this is going to help you build just realizing where the food come from, knowing that nothing's for free, right? Just kind of putting in the thing that you want them to realize that I go to work every day, I pay the bills, I do all this stuff so you have a great life, and why can't you just understand? Because everything's handed to them. Free love, free treats, free toys, free time. There's one we don't talk about very much, free time. So we talked about that in our last video, to where it's just like a toddler. Where'd your toddler be walking around? So now if your dog, you didn't do this with a puppy, and your dog is 5 months, 3 years, 10 years, it could be whatever. It all is the same. You're not going to start teaching a kid that doesn't know how to read on, let's say he's 12 years old. You're not going to start reading on a 12-year-old level. You're going to go all the way back to the beginning, teach them about what letters are, how to put letters together to make small words, what sounds are, all sorts of different things before they actually get into learning how to read. It's starting to rain a little, so we're going to see if we can make it work. So there's different things you can do with your meals. I sent you cot videos, and they're also on my YouTube page. You can find for puppies and for all dogs, and it's just getting your dog to really enjoy getting it on and getting off the cots. Well, I put the dogs up, and we might relocate, but usually under the tree we might save if it's not too rainy. So climbing up and onto and off of things is really really a good skill to work on while your puppies are under 16 weeks. Now, be careful with stairs and high climbs for dogs. Small dogs around 12 weeks, they can handle bigger climbs. Large dogs about 16 weeks before you start like tackling things like stairs. You're waiting for their muscles, or their joints, to find a spot, and they're still very loose when they're that age. You just want to be careful and don't overdo it. Okay, so I've relocated again. Now I'm under the treehouse, and usually pretty good under here. Let's see. So climbing, you just want to be really aware of not overdoing it with puppies, but you also want to take advantage of when their brains are open to new challenges. They're not afraid of things as much, so you want to use those times to help them overcome things that they might be afraid of in the future, and that'll take more of you coaxing and stuff. So if you've ever had a dog that you've had to talk into doing things, things we might think are just normal, down to seeing the UPS truck, it all has to do with each other. So that's just because they didn't see one before they were that age, right? So, or enough. They might have seen one. So you want to watch the joints on climbing off and on of things, but you really want to use those meals as a window, because all puppies are like, food. If your puppy is kind of picky on food, you might want to look at how much you're giving the puppy. Be careful of on the bag. They're definitely going to tell you more. Usually they want you to eat more. They don't want to be responsible for skinny puppies. And veterinarians, watch your veterinarians. Not all of them are nutritionalists. I am not a nutritionalist, so that's something you want to do your homework on your own. Just watch. Your dog will tell you usually what they need. You know, if they're leaving part of their meal in the bowl, then I usually will feed them the portion that they are eating, and that helps them kind of get into it. But most puppies won't have this problem, especially if you start young. So now Moki will work harder for her meals than she will with treats, because treats are extras. Meals are how we survive. They're how we engage. They're everything about life, because we built that into her. And treats were very plentiful when she came to live with us when she was about 1 year old. So it just became a thing. We just don't get treats a lot. So we save those for big things. If I'm working on a new skill or something, or we did something big, I'll bust treats out then. But most times it's just her kibble. Now you're going to find different games. I love the find game. So the way that starts is by just putting some kibble. It might be right on your kitchen floor or right outside on your patio floor, somewhere where you can clean it up easily, and it doesn't make your day a lot more hectic than it needs to be, because we don't want dog food all over the house. If it doesn't bother you, start doing it all over the house, but don't go too far, because remember, your puppy's brain is soft and small and their eyesight is only about this far. So keep your little piles pretty close to each other so that they can see you putting them down. And you might put 2 piles and you'll see a puppy like so excited to get over to the pile, and he runs into it. This was Wrigley, one of our dogs. We call him Pigs if you ever see him in some videos, and he would dive into the pile, and he was so excited, and he was eating, and then he'd watch me and he'd see me putting something else somewhere else, and he'd run over and he'd get all excited in that pile, and then he'd be like, oh, wait a minute, I forgot all that food over there. So then he'd run back over there and get some more of that. Then he'd see I was putting something somewhere there, and he'd run over to see me, and it just became a game. So you want it to be a game. Don't make these exercises to where you're being overly critical and you want your dog to do it this way or that way. Make it fun. No one wants to have a crappy time with their best friend, so make sure you're making it fun. Okay, so I'm gonna do more. It's raining a little harder now, so I'm gonna do more videos on puppies, but today's video is on puppy feeding. If you have any questions, just pop them in the comments below. I'm glad to answer anything. Bye, guys.